This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 19, Dungeons, Death, and Disneyfication.
Superman.
Hi, welcome to the Cult Faction Podcast, episode 19, Death, Dungeons, and Disneyfication. I'm your host, Damien Hicks, and as ever, I am joined by...
Paul Hawkins.
And Brett Summers.
Indeed. So, what's going down in Groovetown? Anything exciting happening in our lives, or do you want to go
Football's
straight on to
coming home.
TV talk? Football's coming home.
Coming home.
It may have come
Yeah.
home by now, or gone again.
Yeah,
won't
this is true.
have come home yet by now.
Yep, by now.
Well, it depends on when you listen to the podcast, doesn't it? I mean, if you listen to it hot off the press on Friday night or late Saturday morning, which is probably when I'll be re-listening to ourselves, Granville, then it may not have come home yet. But if you're listening to this in 2022 or just on a re-listen, then it may have come home.
As I say, if you
Okay.
just found this episode somewhere in the future and it's 2024, it might be coming back again.
And cars still don't fly, no matter what Elon Musk is trying to do. You know, they may fly for like a few seconds, but we don't have flying cars yet.
And never will.
Whoa, don't you say that. Just don't say that.
It's true.
But it's not true, is it? You can't say we're not ever going to have flying cars. I mean,
They probably won't be called cars. They'll be called something else.
We're just behind the schedule. That's the problem. You know, when you look back to Back to the Future, we were all supposed to have hoverboards like a few years ago, but we've got them now. They're just not mainstream.
No, we haven't. We have not.
Yeah.
Don't give me that.
Well,
Shyster
people,
license nonsense.
there are hoverboards. They don't look as cool. Don't get me wrong, but people can fly on their own with a hoverboard. Right, it looks like they've got like 100 drones attached to a board, but they're managing to somehow propel across, whatever terrain. But they exist. We're getting there. We have, not Iron Man as such. We're not that quite cool yet, but we're one step above, the old jetpacks and the old Michael Jackson era in the Olympics or whatever he was doing when you had the guy in the jetpack flying, and we're a bit
We're beyond that.
we've
Paul,
made progress.
The big question that we all need to know, though, is how far are we away from Jurassic Park, Paul?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? I mean, when it comes back to bringing back genes, then there's already research going out there to bring back a mammoth. And
Genes have never gone out of fashion.
but like being able to recreate life, as it were, based on old genes, and that they found some DNA from a mammoth, and their DNA or the lizard DNA. You were just joking, weren't you? You didn't actually want to talk about this.
I'm just going to say it, and that's why you're the Ross of the group.
We were on a break. I thought you were serious. I thought we were going to get completely off tangent and just start freeballing, as it were.
No, some of that was actually interesting, and I didn't know it. But
anywho, you just want to talk about films and stuff, don't you? You don't. I was all excited then.
Just,
you carry on. You
some people say we don't
freewheeling.
really do enough of a kind of.
No, it's gone.
We don't do enough of dinosaurs.
Yeah. No, I was genuinely all excited then, because I thought you.
To be fair, we have had 6 emails saying tell us more about fossils. So.
Anywho, let's move on for that. But Brett, I'm more than happy to talk to you and stuff. But yeah, it's really interesting at the moment because, as I said, it looks like they might be trying to bring back a mammoth.
I'm sure it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't it going to get really hot? Where are they going to bring it back? Siberia.
We
I'm
do have.
imagining
We
if
do
they're
have.
sensible, it's going to be Butlins or someone like that where they can make money off it.
I mean, like we do
Are
have
they going
like.
to shave it so it's all right to like live in Winchester?
Well, it's like
in,
we got polar bears in London Zoo, Damien. It's not like
What?
they're
Yeah,
gonna.
but they're not woolly polar bears, are they? They're not defined.
They're not woolly polar
woolly
bears.
No,
They're not-
they're polar bears, but
but
they're not.
What? And they live in the Sahara. I mean,
No, but all I'm saying is,
they can
by
survive in
definition, a woolly mammoth is extremely woolly. So therefore, it's going to get incredibly hot.
like a
And
polar
mammothy.
bear might get a bit hot.
What
It's
does a
given-
woolly
that is
mammoth
where I have
get
that
for lunch in Blackpool?
about
Peanuts.
20 minutes.
Yeah. Damn it.
Okay, let's move on because that's probably one of the weirdest conversations I've had all
Brett
week.
started it. I was just responding to a question.
Okay.
And you still won't
So-
watch Dino Fury.
I watched one of them.
Yeah, that was probably enough, to be fair.
Well, no, I watched 5 minutes of one of them.
But that's not putting in the effort. At least I think I did 2 episodes.
Yeah, then
you,
put me
you
off.
actually wanted to go back and watch it on.
Oh my god, was this
Thought I'd
like a
give it
year
fighting
ago?
chance. I think it was a good 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Wow, that's how long the podcast has been going.
You
We're
can go back and check through in our archive available
We're
at
almost
cultfaction.com.
We're almost fossilized ourselves. Wait for Michael Crichton to bring us back to life.
I'm sure both our listeners will be able to tell us when it was. Right, on that note,
The two that are left at this point.
yeah. I'm going to go to Paul first.
Oh, Jesus.
What televisual delights have you been feasting your eyes upon this week?
Okay. So it wasn't intentional, but I think it was Friday night. Just so happened that it was on. All the girls seemed to be out of the room. We'd had our dinner and everything.
Where's this going?
No.
It sounds like something from Porky's.
So it was me and Connor alone in the front room, and I think it was on BBC One or one of the terrestrial channels, and we just started watching Ant-Man. And I'd watched it before and didn't really rate it, which is a shame because I really like Paul Rudd. He doesn't do anything different from really film to film, apart from one film that I haven't seen of him set in the future. Can't remember the name of it, which I need to get around to watching. But anyway, so we started watching Ant-Man, and this is like, Connor's only 5, and this is like one of the first actiony, real life CGI films that he's actually sat down and watched, and he really enjoyed it. And I was there thinking, well, you know what, this doesn't seem to be as bad as when I first watched it, and maybe I was overly critical about it the first time round. But it's all right. As I said, it's not one of my favourite films when it comes to that universe, but it's got some, endearing qualities to it.
For my benefit, what universe are we talking? Is this a DC or is it a
Marvel.
It's a
The
Marvel.
MCU.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
MCU.
Yeah. So as I said, we spent a proper 2 hours watching Ant-Man, and he watched it the whole way through, and he was enjoying it. And even for me, I came out of it thinking, well, that was better than the first time round that I watched this thing. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch the Star Wars original trilogy, not the original trilogy, obviously, but the one with Jar Jar Binks.
Prequels.
Yeah, the prequels, and maybe give them another go. But because, it was okay. But Ant-Man, better than I remembered. But it's not breaking news or anything like that. It's not like it's a new film or anything like that. But it was one of those interesting things that he actually enjoyed it. I watched it the second time around, got a lot more out of it than I did first time round. And maybe I was overly critical. So the next thing we got around to watching, and I did this for the team. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I invested some money for the Cult Faction podcast to basically spend some cash on Spiral from the Book of Saw. So, Spiral.
I'm sensing you're not that chuffed about it.
Well, all right, okay. So, starring Chris Rock, Sam L. Jackson, Max Minghella, rather. Okay, so it's not Saw, and you know I've seen a lot of reviews slating Spiral, and if you go in thinking this is another in the episode of or the series of Saw, you're going to be disappointed. This isn't Saw. This isn't in the same ilk. It's not the same timeline. It's just they're trying to build on the franchise and use the name to describe what's happening. But
is it like Halloween 3?
So yeah, absolutely. So this has nothing really to do with Saw whatsoever, apart from the fact that there's some gruesome deaths, which involve the same kind of masochistic way of endings to them. However, and don't get me wrong, it's not going to win any awards. Well, unless Rotten Tomatoes does awards now, for this kind of film, which they do. But I came out of that film thinking it's all right. Chris Rock, he's not a Bruce Willis, but he does the role well. He plays a cop that's obviously had a bit of a hard time. He's uncovered some what would the guys from not Silent Witness, the other guys, Bent Coppers. He's he's uncovered some bent coppers in his time. The Force hate him because of it, and up to a point where he's been let down and got shot on the line of duty because of the bent coppers that he works with. But anyway, he comes there's a murder. He has to investigate, and it's a dastardly murder with some potential bent coppers in the mix, and they're all tortured in different ways in the ilk of Saw, hence why it's from the Book of Saw. Nothing to do with the actual original storyline, but it's okay. It's not great, it's not, as I said, it's not going to win any Oscars, but it's a nice action film, and we're kind of lacking new films, so maybe this is me bigging it up too much, but I've seen some of the reviews, and it's certainly not a 3 out of 10. It's above a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 I'd give it, but it's not in comparison. It's nothing like the original Saw, which I think was a fantastic movie because it was so original, great acting, great ways of dying, if there can be said such a thing.
Great ways of dying.
And a great twist as well, which was highly original at the time.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So this doesn't have any of those originality. It's not a terrible film, and I think Chris Rock and Sam L. Jackson do okay, and the supporting cast again do okay, and it's. As I said, this is 6 out of 10. It's certainly not terrible. I certainly wouldn't go to the cinema to see it. Hence why I paid £16 for Cult Faction, which I think I might be able to. Well, I may be able to claim back on tax at the end of the year. But as I said, wait until it comes out for free and give it a watch, because it passes away the time. And there's no necessarily bad performances. They all do okay performances. It's just, you'll know how it ends, who's responsible well in advance of it happening. But as I said, it doesn't really take anything away because we've all seen that. Okay, so we're also carrying on with our
Silent Witness Odyssey.
Our never-ending Silent Witness.
What year are you up to now?
We are certainly still in the 90s, and yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to getting into the millennium and above, because I'm getting a little bit sick of the BBC making people have posh accents. It's getting a bit silly now. You can tell that they've brought in actors that don't talking in the Queen's English, but they've been forced to have a posh accent whenever they talk. It's just stupid. And
has anyone popped up of note?
Yes, there's a few. There's people that obviously been in the soap operas. So what was his name? Last year or the year before lockdown, because I haven't really watched Emmerdale. There's a bodyguard called Graham. That was in one of the recent ones. He was actually quite good in Emmerdale. But he was in one of the episodes we watched recently. But there's some people that you think they've been EastEnders of Corrie. There is Nick Holt in About a Boy.
Oh yeah.
As a small child, he must have been about 5. That pops up in 3 or 4 scenes in an episode. But as I said, most of them are just
Generic,
people that have been in Corrie.
Yeah.
But there's Game On. Was it Game On? Was it Sam Janis?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one we're watching at the moment, it's the blonde-haired guy that was in Game On. That's in the episodes that we're watching. He's a undercover cop, I believe. But he does an alright performance.
He's done alright for himself, actually.
You mean the guy that took over from the original? Was it Ben Chaplin? Was the original, wasn't he? Was it Ben Chaplin?
He went to America to.
Yeah, he was in The Truth About Cats and Dogs, wasn't
Dogs,
he?
yeah, and that was
disappeared.
So I think it's the one that
Neil
took over from.
Neil Stuke.
Yeah, but he does a good performance.
Yeah, he's done quite a lot.
Yeah,
since then.
And actually, he's one of the stronger actors in the performance. But as I said, it's it's set firmly in the 90s BBC, up to the point that you still have a guy that's a pathologist who smokes cigars inside. And as I said, that they're so determined to make that distinction between, if you're good, then you speak proper English. If you're bad, then maybe you speak.
So they lean heavily on the class system.
Yeah.
Just to give you a slight spoiler, Paul, that in about 8 years' time, when you get up to 2018, you will see him again in Silent Witness. but you've got to get up to 2018 to see him. So there's some motivation for you.
Well, the way we're going through them,
when it gets into the CSI era,
that's probably 2 weeks. But as I said, originally, I'm watching this more invested in to see how the whole series progresses throughout the decades, and they're only short, so don't get me wrong. But it's certainly more the Midsummer Murders ilk of television, as opposed to anything really gritty.
And yet we've managed to spend, I reckon, 8 minutes on it. So.
Well, it deserves it. It genuinely does.
Silent Witness deserves it. You heard it here first, folks.
Because I remember when it first came out, and I turned over, I think. Well, I didn't watch it, but the headlines were how gritty and groundbreaking, one of my terms, and revolutionary this was for British television. And now rewatching it 20-something years.
Of that.
There was only one revolutionary British television series in the 1990s, and that was Killer Net.
Yeah, but as it is interesting to watch back. Other than that, the other thing that I've mainly been watching on my own late at night is Glastonbury. So obviously Glastonbury's cancelled this year, but BBC have been doing loads of shows and programming on, watchbacks of Glastonbury, and I must admit I've gone into my own self cocoon late at night myself watching 90s Glastonbury, which I think 90s is probably the best decade in music over the last 30 years.
Since the 60s. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Hence why I said last 30 years.
Yeah, I was just checking because people listening to this in the future might not know what that was.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I know lots of people love the 80s and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, watching Glastonbury back over the last few nights, the 90s just stand out. And it just kind of harks back to the fact where we're all kind of been in lockdown for the best part of a year and a bit. So can't wait to be able to go and watch something live. But it's really interesting just to watch all the old Glastonbury shows.
Cool.
Not
Anything
really cult
else?
faction. Not really cult faction at all.
No,
but...
I mean that might not even make the final edit, but it's a nice conversation.
So in that case, drop
What
mic.
did you watch, Paul? Silent Witness. What did you watch, Brett?
So moving on to Damien and his 2-hour epilogue. Monologue, rather.
I'm the host today, so I'm last. It's Brett next. What have you been watching?
To be honest, apart from
Is he next? Or are you just going to cut him out? I mean, who knows?
I didn't say you wouldn't make the final edit. I'm just saying, just put it out there.
How much of it, Mike?
He's so Zack Snyder, isn't he? You're going to accompany us. Going to accompany us to like somewhere over the rainbow as we're doing like a death scene or something.
I'm just going to edit someone in who wasn't even in the room when we did the recording.
Brett's mums.
Are they going to be silver? Are they going to be silver?
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't been watching that much at the moment because mainly I've been watching all of the European Soccer Championships, and that's been taking up most of the TV. But what I did manage to catch, I caught a double bill the other night of the California Highway Patrol series Chips, which, if you haven't seen it, was a classic from the.
I was going to say, I'm
70s
assuming that's the original one.
Oh, damn right!
They've just remade Chips.
No,
they did remake it, didn't they?
They made a movie.
Yeah.
They made a movie, and most of the original cast that are still around popped up in the movie. It was
still doesn't make
what's his face? Zach. No.
Snyder.
What's his name? Dax. Ashton Kutcher's mate. Dax Shepard. Dax Shepard did it, and he's married to. Is he married? He's married to Sarah Marshall, isn't he? I forgot her real name.
Don't know. I know you mean, but I couldn't tell you her name.
Oh, the one that was in Frozen.
I barely remember your names, if I'm honest. So
I don't know if she was in Frozen or not.
She was in Frozen, wasn't she? She
don't
plays
know.
Hannah.
I'm over 5.
Anyway, let's bring this back on track.
If you care about Frozen, find another podcast. Right, yes. Anyway, it was Chips. It was the last episode of season 1, apparently, and it was called Flashback. And this is where we learned how John and Frank Poncherello sort of met and got together as partners, and how he helped him become a cop and all that. But the flashback comes by the fact that a new young brash police officer who's just as good at riding a bike as them two arrives, and he's called Joe. He's played by Joe Penny, who would later gain international fame as the Thing guy in Jake and the Fat Man, also known as Jake. Actually, thinking about it, but and also he went on to loads of other things. He's been in everything since. Most sort of TV dramas, at some point his face will pop up.
Was he in Silent Witness?
No, because
he's not in everything, then, is he?
I don't think they can afford him. I bet he's been in some sort of CSI though. That's just okay. Yeah,
look now.
He's been in all of them. And Jane Doe, the TV movie series about a female detective. Yeah, so there you go. So he's been in the American equivalent. But yeah, and also there is a like Hell's Angel motorcycle gang led by Edward James Olmos as Henry. That was his character name. But he is very young. This is even pre-Miami Vice for him. And also Robert Sampson turns up, who he's been in everything. He's in Reanimator, Robot Jocks. He's done the A-Team, DJ Hooker, all those sort of shows. If you look at he was even in 21 Jump Street, Scarecrow, Mrs. King, Automan.
Mrs. King.
There you go.
Haven't thought about that for a long time.
Quincy Emmy, and he was the sheriff in City of the Living Dead as well. If you want to go back that far and get freaked out, but he's been in everything. So there's a lot of faces in there, but there's an interesting bit where Ponch and John reminisce about one of their first cases, and there's these two girls that take their mum's car, and in almost a pre-Ferris Bueller's Day Off kind of way, and reverse it, but instead of this car going backwards through the thing into the tree, it goes into a swimming pool, and they have to dive in and save them. But what's weird about it is it's the houses
that the bomb.
No, the houses they are in are the houses from Bewitched, and it's in the Bewitched neighborhood. It's like the same set, so it's quite weird and sort of little bit of sort of TV Easter eggy there, or the fact that they only got about 2 sets they could film on.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it's they'll love this in 40 years time. It's more where can we film?
In
they
40
finish
years,
filming Bewitched for the
talk
day.
about this. Someone's going to talk about this on a podcast in 40 years time.
Does Vision turn up or Wanda?
I thought you were singing then for a minute, then Paul.
I thought he turned into the police. And the next one I've watched of Chips was the first episode of season 2, and it's called Peaks and Valleys, and it is just. This is the perfect example of a TV show trying to cash in on literally everything that's popular at the time. Okay, so to open
a bit like our podcast.
Yeah, kind of.
Apart from your little 5 minutes here, which is 20, 30 years ago. But carry on.
Still where I live. Yeah, so basically there's a whole bit of a lawyer trying to see Ponch and John because they helped some bloke out of his car, but they didn't, and he gets paralysed and he tried to get sued for it, but it turns out later on it was some manual labourer workers who had hard hats on that the man in his state thought they were policemen, so they didn't get sued for breaking his back in the end for moving him. Then John gets all disillusioned and decides he might want to become a car salesman instead of a policeman, and he starts getting followed by this blonde lady in a car who basically it looks a lot like the woman from American Graffiti and the same car. So they're totally trying to tap into, like, could this be the lady from American Graffiti? I've forgotten her name now, but it's the same type of car. I'm sure it is. I'm sure someone will tell me. Yeah, it's a Ford Thunderbird. And yeah, basically, they've got a Suzanne Summers lookalike. I should remember that name. He's trying to basically do American Graffiti, and they're trying to like rip that bit off as well. But then once they solve the case and everything's fine, Ponch and John, this woman, that they find that this Suzanne Summers lookalike gives them tickets to the disco, but John can't take them because he can't accept gifts from a woman whilst on duty. So she decides to give them to her friend who wants to take Ponch as well. So they all end up at the disco anyway. And whilst they're at the disco, we get a whole 5-minute breakdown of Ponch doing Saturday Night Fever, basically. It just cuts into like the disco lights come on. It's just him doing basically his John Travolta.
This sounds like some weird episode of Scooby-Doo on steroids.
No, it was almost like somewhere through this, someone dropped the acid, and it turns into that. But that's not even it. So he does his bit, and then everyone at the disco claps him and pats him on the back for how awesome he is as a dancer. And then, as they sort of celebrate what a great dancer Ponch is, and John's like stood there with his girlfriend going, "Oh, you're good at that, man. You should do that professionally." Ha ha. A woman who was pregnant on the dance floor suddenly collapses and goes into labour. They get everyone to stand around her in a circle facing outwards because of her dignity. They get some towels from somewhere. They then deliver the baby in about 2 minutes.
To what music? What music?
All the music stops then you get your tense music. It goes all tense again. They deliver the baby, help her back up, and she walks off with the ambulance driver, and then they all dance again. No one even mopped up.
And I bet the baby was called Poncho.
Was it blood on the dance floor?
I'm sure there was.
Oh,
It was nearly a murder. And then the DJ comes over and goes, "Oh, you two ambulance drivers are amazing." And they're like, "We're not ambulance drivers. We're California Highway Patrol." And then everyone at the disco cheers, and it ends.
brilliant.
It was like, what the hell is this? So yeah. So if you really
You know
want to
what?
watch some
If there's
acid-inspired
only
television,
one thing you watched this entire week that wasn't football, it was worth it for that.
oh, it definitely was. I have a whole new respect for the California Highway Patrol and what they go through in their day-to-day life.
That just goes to show what happens when you lock writers in a room together with like junk food and a lot of like drugs.
Yeah.
No, that's just
alcohol.
like well,
MSG,
it was early
sugar,
'78.
salt,
So
drugs.
it was early '78. So Saturday Night Fever is obviously still in the charts. They're trying to cash in on that.
And they have to write about 40 episodes for a season. Or
Seriously.
something.
The only bit missing, I wanted someone to rollerblade that or on roller boots. That's about the only thing that wasn't in it. And then it was almost boogie nights. It was just sort of like, but yeah, that was pretty much all I watched. But it definitely took me on a journey, an emotional one. Check it out. It's currently doing the rounds on Forces TV.
I was going to say, is it Forces TV again? I guess it
Yeah.
had to be ready, didn't it?
Yeah. Also, that's recently been added to the Forces TV network is The Man from Atlantis, starring Patrick Duffy.
Okay.
So if you really want to dive down into some cult
Oh,
TV from
nice.
yesteryear that might not even be, I don't even think.
See what you did there.
Is it on
That was,
DC?
that was a bit fishy, Brett.
It was. So yeah. The
That's
Man
been
from
your
Atlantis is
TV
now.
week.
That has literally been my TV week, apart from the football and maybe the news.
So next week, are you going to give us an appraisal of the Man from Atlantis?
I don't know if I can watch. I don't know if I really want to watch Patrick Duffy running around in his pants.
No, I mean, it's not something that floats my boat, but there we go. Okay, so a bit like you, to be fair, Brett. It's been
Chips.
a lot of football, not chips. No, not. I never get as far up the channel guide as Forces TV when I'm.
How can you not get that far?
You should do. You're missing out.
I normally give up and lose the will to live and put Netflix or Amazon Prime back on.
Also, they've got Chance of a Million at the moment as
PlayStation.
well. They're doing
Have
Chance of a Million. Yeah.
Oh, now you're talking, because that never gets repeated, and you cannot, for the love of God, find that on any other streaming platform or
Forces TV.
Forces
nefarious
TV.
download sites.
It's the
Right, that's
future, but it's the past. But it's the future.
Are you serious? It's got 1 in a million on it.
Chance of a Million. Yeah. Simon
Chance of a Million,
Cowell.
brother.
Simon, not Simon
I
Cowell.
know.
Simon.
Simon
It's-
Cowell.
Simon Cowell. and Linda
Simon
Bresson.
Chance. Simon. That was his. What's
No, Simon.
the world famous Shakespearean actor, or
Yeah,
known more
what is his
popularly
name?
as the one who dies.
No, it's not.
No more popularly as the one who dies in Four Winds and Funeral.
Yeah.
Callow.
Callow, that's it.
Simon Callow.
Simon Callow and Brenda Bethan. That was well, it probably wasn't thinking back, but I mean, at the time, it was phenomenal. It was a brilliant series. Cool. Right, that's my television week sorted.
Got Citizen Smith as well.
Yeah, and I have watched a few of those recently on Forces TV.
Yeah.
It's not as good as I remember it being, to be fair. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not the comedy classic I remember it to be. Maybe it's just 'cause it's a bit slow.
But what have you been watching though?
But what I have been watching is the 7th and final season of Bosch dropped on, I think it was Friday. So we watched that back to back and finished it over the weekend. I don't think any of you guys watched Bosch. There's 7 seasons.
I know who the dude is.
Yeah, Titus.
Titus Welliver.
Welliver.
Titus Welliver. And I am a big fan of his, but I've never got around to watching Bosch yet.
It's really good. You should watch it. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing, it's not really culty. It's not especially different to any other standard detective series. It's just supporting cast is good. He's obviously very good. It's one story throughout the entire season, and they're based on novels, and they do the whole novel in the book.
Cool.
In the TV series. So it's not
Did you say that's the final series? Is that
that's
it
the
now?
final season? but I think it looks like it's been set up to carry on with him doing something else.
Okay. So who is, just for anyone not familiar with it, like myself, who is Bosch? What's Bosch do?
So he's a detective in the Hollywood division in LA, homicide detective. Like I said, it's no different to Taggart, or it is different.
Well,
to
it kind
this
of
one,
is because he hasn't got the Scottish accent. Taggart.
Yeah,
Taggart.
in genre, and it's there's a murder or an investigation, and it follows it. It's a slow burn show, so it's not wrapped up in 2 episodes, and then
I bet it's not a slow Silent Witness.
No, it's not. But then Silent Witness was filmed in the 90s. Everything was slow back in the 90s. That's just how TV was then.
I've still got another 2 decades of this to go.
Afraid so. Yeah.
Killernet wasn't slow.
It was ahead of its time though. So.
Yeah.
Although now I reckon that thinking about it, if you look back on Killernet, I don't know if it would necessarily feel.
People had nightmares from that program.
Why are you dropping Killernet into our podcast this week? Are you getting paid something?
No, I've already got it on DVD.
Trying to get a Kickstarter going to.
He is, isn't he?
Make a movie of it.
There's some reboot.
Sorry, Damien.
That's all right. You carry on. Talk amongst yourselves. Don't mind me. I'm only the host.
All right, Alan Carr.
Anyway,
you are a bit like Alan Carr, aren't you? You've got your drink there, and we don't have a drink or anything like that.
What drink? We don't drink on that.
No, it's not Alan Carr, is it? What's the guy on BBC One?
Narrow it down a bit.
Graham Norton.
So you go on the Graham Norton show, and
you get them muddled up,
and everyone gets a drink. No, Alan Carr's got a chat show as well, hasn't he?
Do they look the same to you?
No, they look nothing like each other. It's that they both have a talk show.
Anyway, if you want a drink in a pub, build one.
If you build it, they will come.
Exactly.
Wayne's World 2. That's where that came from. There was no other film about that. Screw you, Costner. Right, anyway, Damien, you're on about
Carry on, Damien.
Yeah, so Bosch, 8 seasons, 9 episodes. Watch that in the weekend. Really good. I recommend go back and watch all 7 seasons of it. It's worth a watch. As I said, not groundbreaking, just really well acted. The supporting characters is there's a lot going on in all of their lives, so it's not just about him. And the actual actors themselves are all very good in the roles they play. So go and watch it. Simple as that.
Done.
And as I said, it looks like it's been set up for a spin-off or some sort. And I think
is this not a few years old?
It's been going for seven seasons in.
Seven years? It's still going.
Yeah,
it's still going.
Well, it's literally just come to an end. So that was because it was supposed to finish at season 6, and I don't know why they did another one. Something went on in the background, whether he was paid more money or what, I don't know. But because he
now exec producer.
He's been exec producer since series 2, so because that was my first thought. But then I actually went back and had a look, and I think he's been exec producer for quite some time. But I think maybe, and I haven't looked this. I did mean to look it up, but I haven't had the chance to. I think it's been set up for another series with him in doing something else, but playing the same character. So it's almost like a kind of backdoor pilot for another series, but we'll see. Or I'll go and have a look.
They called it Bish.
Yeah. Bish Bash Bosh.
Does he fit windows of conservatories?
No, he makes power tools. Anyway, so that's Bosch. The only other thing we started watching, because we didn't realise that Bosch was only 8 or 9 episodes, because all other seasons have been about 10 or 12. So it finished, was like, oh, bugger, we've got like another 2 hours of television to watch, and we've got nothing to watch. So we found Cursed on Netflix.
That's the kind of Lady of the Lake type thing, is it?
That's right. It's a young adult reimagining rather of the Arthurian legend. Only watched 1 episode because Sarah was starting to fall asleep.
So I saw the trailer of that, and I thought,
yeah,
this harks back to.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say.
Merlin type
Yeah.
teen
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
Don't go near it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, everything you said is true. So only one episode in, so I'm going to give it another couple of episodes just to see how it pans out. But yeah, it's not looking great, to be honest. It's it just looks like what they've done is kind of shifted some of the characters. So it's going to be focusing on this young girl. I don't remember her name. I don't remember the connections she has to the Arthurian legend, whether she is going to be the Lady of the Lake or whatever that might be.
That's kind of gist I got from looking
So
at
I didn't watch.
Does she like swords and water?
Well, there is a sword in it.
No, but
she's always in the bath. Where's Gwendolyn? Oh, she's always in the bath.
I really like swords and water.
No, I don't think she's even called Gwendolyn. I don't.
I'm
I
only
can't remember what her
joking.
name is.
I can't remember.
No, but that is all part of the legend, isn't it? But yeah, it's the usual kind of trope. You've got Merlin in there, but obviously instead of being a wizened old man with a cloak and robe, he's older than the other cast members, but isn't that old and looks to be more nefarious than he is the good wizard.
Was the whole thing about this one trying to make the female character a bit of badass and more of the action hero?
It may well be, like I said, one episode, so I don't know yet. And I said I'll give it 2 more episodes. That I won't drop it on one, because I did that with Warrior Nun. You know, almost just stopped at 1 episode, carried on, and actually by the time it finished, I quite enjoyed it. So we shall see. But this is only getting another 2. I'm not going to go as far as I did with Warrior Nun.
You say
only
that
because
now.
it hasn't been renewed yet. So at least with Warrior Nun, it said 2nd season's coming. So that means that, you know.
And that first season's been done and dusted for a while now. So for them not to even give a hint that there's going to be a second season.
It came out June last year, so it's been over a year. So I'm not hopeful that I will get through the season, but we shall see.
I just remembered I watched something else.
Oh, for the love of God, and all its
Jesus.
Why don't you people write this shit down?
I did.
Go on then,
You can
because
do
I
your
finished.
bit
Actually.
first,
No,
okay.
that is all I've watched: football, Bosch, and Cursed.
That's
Cursed.
right.
Cursed.
That should have been the title for the podcast.
Bosh. I've watched the latest episode of the Loki TV series as well. It is developing in a very interesting manner, not how I was expected. It almost has a bit of a Doctor Who vibe in the good ways. And the McCoy,
Sylvester McCoy's in it.
the McCoy era. Although the Blu-ray set of that did arrive for me this week as well. So Loki's doing really well at the moment. It seems to be going from strength to strength. There's still a whole thing of, I don't think we really know what's going on yet, but we will later. I think Loki's kind of keeping his cards to his chest. We're seeing what he's doing, but I think there's a whole other thing that when it comes out, we'll realise that he's sort of played everyone the whole time, maybe. But there's a very, very, very interesting plot development this week. And a revelation, if we are to believe that revelation. I don't want to give it away if anyone's not seen it yet, but you should be checking this out. And I think we're about halfway through now, because I think there's only 6 episodes for this one. Drop zone.
Drop zone.
First up in the drop zone, we have Death Trap Dungeon, the Golden Room.
Death Trap Dungeon, the Golden Room is an interactive movie based on Ian Livingstone's multi-million selling classic game book. It's coming to the PC and all major consoles in 2022 and is developed by Wales Interactive and Goodgate Media and is published by Wales Interactive. So basically, you're an adventurer on a quest through Death Trap Dungeon looking for the Golden Room, and it's just I guess it's the next progression now of what used to be the old fighting fantasy choose your own adventure books from years gone by. And now it's turned itself into a interactive movie computer game as well. Do you remember the old ones where it's like, you know, if you want to turn left, turn to 50. If you want to turn right, turn to 100.
Yeah, I remember those.
And you kept your finger in the page just to make sure you got the best deal.
Yeah.
So I made 2 comments about this. First of all, what is this? Second of which, didn't they try this on the old PlayStation 20 years ago and it flunked?
Flunked.
Yeah,
It's not too dissimilar to what I've said. Is this? I'm either showing my age or my ignorance. Is this a game or is it a film? Is it?
It's a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, I know, but they
I'm
tried
imagine-
it. They tried this before. You know,
Bandersnatch worked.
No, but that's completely different. That was a streaming thing that you don't have to pay for. But they tried this. I'm sure it's on the PlayStation where at the time graphics weren't great, so they tried to do the whole video thing, and it was like, oh, well, it's real life video, and you can choose what you do. But it just died because at the end of it, it was an hour long, as opposed to playing a game that's 40 or 50 hours, or if you're on open world stuff, it is forever going.
Like KillerNet.
Oh Jesus!
But,
Sponsored by KillerNet.
Well, no, but this is progressing there. I mean, PlayStation's like 20 odd years ago now, Paul. Technology.
Well, yeah, but still there. PlayStation 5, it's just come out that I can't get hold of anywhere. Jesus. But yeah, I must admit, I watched whatever I watched. I don't know whether there's a trailer or whatever we can say this is, and just kind of thought, is anyone actually going to want to play this? I don't know.
I mean, Bandersnatch got really.
This
popular.
isn't banned. Well, how much are they How much are they charging for this?
I do not know yet.
But that's what I mean. Well, most new games are like 50 quid. Would you pay 50 quid to play an hour-long game, or would you just watch Bandersnatch or something equivalent on Amazon? Or
I mean, you can do.
I
you
get
can
what
do
you're
the
saying.
demo
So
at the moment.
To me, it's like if I want to watch a film, I want to watch it and watch the narrative unfold as it's presented. And if it's a game, I want control over what happens, not just a decision-making process. So a bit like what you just said, open world. So like you think of the cowboy one.
Red Dead.
Yeah, God knows how many hours of my life.
You're still there, Damien. We all know you're still playing it.
Yeah.
As you speak to us.
Having
having some barbecue in the.
I've just had a thought of whether I could hook it up to the projector or not. I think I probably could.
Yeah, you can.
That would be. Yeah. Anyway, but you want control over. It's not just a decision, go left, go right. It's you're in control of everything that happens. To me, this just looks like if you want your character or this character to go into this room and accept the punishment or whatever it said on there, I forget what it said now, press X. So you might as well just go back to playing the Wild Bunch on the ZX Spectrum and just type it. I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me. But it's only a teaser, so it could be much more to it than what we're currently thinking.
But that's what I mean. Based on the limited, I mean, it wasn't long. It was like under a minute. But based on that, it's just as I said, what is this? Wasn't this done in the PlayStation 25, 30 years ago, and it didn't really take off? I think it'll be the price point as well, because I'm not going to pay for it, 50 quid for something like that. And I'm sure most 20-year-olds or teenagers wouldn't do the same.
That's what I mean.
No, not if you don't have the control. It's not a game, then, is it?
And again, if it's only an hour long, that hour play stuff as opposed to other games out there, then why would you? But as I said, we've got limited information at the moment. But
I would say the fact they've gone for the Death Trap Dungeon sort of full on in the name would suggest to me they're aiming it more at the older generation who remember the books, etc., and all that, who probably spend more money at gaming now.
But I think most of those people would be more interested in the actual physical games. Even the old style Dungeons and Dragons games or the card equivalents, or the dice games, as opposed to whatever this is going to be, which I said, if it's an hour or 2 hour gameplay, I can't see them going for it.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think they missed.
So why are you being so argumentative, Brett?
I'm just arguing.
We just trying to be there as the voice of opposition.
Whoa.
I'm joking.
Paul, you go on my first whistle. Brett, go on my second whistle.
I haven't finished my point yet.
I was just put off by the way you're holding your microphone in the like just waiting for you to do your wrestler voice on me.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. No, I think they've missed. I think they've missed a thing here. I think they've missed a trick.
I think they missed it by about 30 years.
No, I don't think that. But I think this is your new nightmare. This is your new TV show where you get your contestant on to go through. You've got your different things. It's a bit more,
See, that would be more
scarier.
Yeah,
but
but you'd have to do that online as a vlog or something like that, or whatever, as opposed to.
You can probably do it in some sort of headset nowadays.
Yeah, but what I mean is the whole point about Nightmare was that it was that you watch, the masses would watch one person do it. So if it was a vlog and interactive and everyone could, watch someone.
No one vlogs anymore.
Everyone vlogs. I have to watch them, Damien. Jelly, Slogo Man, Craner, they're still going. They get 1 million views every bloody episode.
Everyone at school calls them YouTube videos now.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Vloggers, whatever they are.
YouTubers.
Vlogs is
but it's not on YouTube. It's on Amazon. It's on bloody whatever that I watch.
But it links back to YouTube. No, but that's what I'm saying. Not necessarily do it as a choose your own for us, but we would watch someone else try and complete this.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I said.
I know that's what I said. That's what I said as well. It should be like Nightmare.
Yeah, but
oh God, we're going.
But no one wants to watch the random Joe do it anymore. It'll be celebrity.
No, don't put ideas out there. No, because someone might listen to this, and before you know it, we've got Celebrity Nightmare.
Yeah, but you don't get normal catchphrase anymore, do you?
Emmerdale as the dungeon master. I don't know what his name is, but the guy with the beard who plays the people.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
Hugo Myatt is still alive. Hugo Myatt is still alive.
But you don't get normal catchphrase anymore, or normal family fortunes. It's all celebrity family fortunes or celebrity catchphrase.
I don't disagree. I'm 100%. It pisses me right off.
Yeah.
Bring back
Joe Public.
The same contestants used to get on Bullseye.
Krypton Factor.
Absolutely petrified to be in front of camera.
Yeah, we haven't had a celebrity Krypton Factor, have we?
Apart from that one guy, it turned out he was. Don't forget that one guy was on Bullseye, and it turned out he was a serial killer.
Yes, and he actually did as well, because that was.
Yeah, he was actually a real.
That's how they got him. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, there was an ITV drama. I forget what it was called now, but it'll be on ITV Hub. Right. So that's Death Trap Dungeon. I'm gonna say the jury's out because we don't know enough.
It's a no from me at the moment.
Fair enough. For nostalgia-wise, I'll give it a yes.
So that takes us on to Skinwalker.
Skinwalker. It's cowboys versus creatures this July when the Skinwalker hits the Old West. After looting a Native American burial site, a hunter unleashes the legendary Skinwalker, a shape-shifting demon onto the unsuspecting world. Once thought to be only a legend, this ancient evil returns from the grave to wreak a terrible vengeance on all who are unfortunate enough to cross its path. Yeah. I got really excited when I saw, because obviously you send over the show notes or whatever you want to call it. And I thought Skinwalker, it's going to be something about Skinwalker Ranch. I was well excited. It's got nothing to do with Skinwalker Ranch, and I was immensely disappointed. And watched the trailer and was even more disappointed. But they looted a Native American burial site. That hasn't happened in any other films.
No, haven't built houses on them or anything like that, have they?
The curse that won't stay buried, Skinwalker.
Oh dear, yeah. I don't know. I literally put meh in my notes when I was watching it.
I put arse gravy. So
and then I thought, then I put, I'm amazed that they didn't drag out Lou Diamond Phillips to appear in this.
He was busy doing Prodigal Son.
He's a bit bigger than that.
Well, no, exactly. But I thought if they had a bit of budget, they might have got Lou Diamond Phillips. Yeah, I wasn't too impressed by this at all.
No, it doesn't look anything exciting.
I thought you were going to say groundbreaking again.
No, I thought I nearly. That's why that was the hesitation, because I nearly said it. But it just looks standard. Yeah,
and it's a shame as well, but because
vengeance nonsense.
Because I think it's one of those things when you think about what it could be, and within 5 minutes you kind of think, the three of us, based on that and based on the synopsis, you kind of throw out some ideas and make it a bit new and a bit fresh and a bit radical. And this, I just kind of think, well, they've obviously spent some money on some script writers and stuff like that.
Have they?
Well, exactly, but so why haven't they? Because there's a good basis for a decent storyline there, surely.
Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of one of those sort of films that they rushed to chuck out so they could keep hold of the copyright. But I don't know if there's any real copyright to keep hold of.
Well, no, I mean, Skinwalker is a genuine Native American mythology. It's a genuine, a bit like I don't know, leprechauns or fairy folk or whatever.
I don't know what you're implying there, Damien, but
I'm genuine. It's proper folklore of that time.
Native Americans are nothing like leprechauns.
That's not what I'm saying.
I know that's what you just said, but they're complete. Native Americans are real.
Okay, so we'll carry on.
I believe they're first generation Americans now, but
whatever. They've just taken one element of that mythology, which is the ghostly apparition piece, if you like. But there's so much more to the Skinwalker legend. That's not even touched on the Skinwalker Ranch. That's a whole different thing altogether. But
and to be fair, maybe they do delve into that as part of this, but they don't want to show it in a 2-minute trailer. I don't know, but you're right. I mean,
I think it's just another bogeyman type story. But instead of it being a bogeyman or Michael Myers or whatever, anything like that, it's just we'll call it Skinwalker instead. I don't think there is a copyright to be had on that. It's it's the same as you could make a film called the Fairy of Christmas Past, and you're not going to break any copyright because fairies aren't copyrighted per se.
Or the leprechaun.
Is it true there were 4 of them?
Okay.
Well, they're
so
yeah, we're not going to say it.
No one's going to say it. We're just going to move on and say
it's a thumbs down for me at the moment.
For Skinwalker.
It's so mature. It's so mature.
So that's going to take.
I'm literally going to cut it off right there.
Let's snip this now.
Yeah.
No, it gives them something to chew over.
Moving on, whilst we still can. Bloodborne.
From director Reed Shusterman, and in the tradition of the Omen, prepare for the birth of evil this summer. Bloodborne. After struggling to conceive, Erica and Michaela hire a witch doctor from the Gravada Foundation to help them conceive. Ola moves into their home, taking over their lives as she puts them through a series of magical rituals. As the ceremonies take a toll on the couple, they discover that their baby might not actually be human, leaving them to decide how far they're willing to go for the family they've always wanted. Bloodborne.
Yeah, so for me, if you have to reference a horror classic in your copy, I'm already thinking, what's the point? And it didn't show me, or the trailer rather didn't show me any reason to change my mind on that.
Yeah, seen this a million times already. I mean, don't get me wrong, the couple in it look like they're doing a good job in the film. Nothing against their performances, but story-wise, seen it already. Both from The Omen, Rosemary's Baby, many Outer Limits, Twilight Zone type shows through the years, etc. It's almost, it's It's been.
Yeah.
Didn't we watch something a little while ago where it was in the spirit of Rosemary's Baby? Wasn't there a trailer
Yeah,
like a
there
month
was
or so
something
ago?
dropped a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago. Exactly.
So that,
In fact,
horror
to
baby.
be fair, when you first sent this through, I thought, haven't we already done this? And
I did
but
the
it
same.
was, yeah, it wasn't this.
So
So-
I made a couple of points. So first of all, there's some weird looking magical Tajin that's helping to give birth to this baby. Which I said, kudos to the Tajin, and maybe that's going to inspire some new Jamie Oliver recipes. And then the other point I made, if you're going to have a baby in a week, which it seemed to imply that you're going to get pregnant and have the baby in a week, are you not going to kind of think that's a bit weird?
Yeah, for me that would set alarm bells ringing.
And the fact that it was in a week, as opposed, but that was the whole thing about Rosemary's Baby. It was almost a normal birth in regards to the fact of how long it took, but it was all the suspense that it built up and stuff and all.
Yeah.
But this was, oh no, so we're going to cook something in a magical tagine. You're going to, whatever they do with that, and then in a week's time you're going to have a baby, and it might look a bit deformed, but it's all right,
My favourite bit on that in the trailer was when he went, well, it's cheaper than IVF.
Yeah.
You're not freaked out by it at all.
Yeah. I did the fact that it's based, in a week, all the suspense is gone, because if you're a parent and that's not, raising alarm bells that this is a normal birth or isn't a normal birth, well, what is it? What else is there? It's wrong, and so that's all the suspense gone. So I'm not impressed by this one, which is a shame, because the title's cool.
And the poster is slightly disturbing as well in its own way, but again, still, a little bit cliche in its own way as well, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that's Bloodborne, the magical tagine.
Good use of the word tagine there, Paul.
It was though. It looks like a tagine.
Yeah.
When you
My
look at the
first thought
trailer,
was the thing they use in the opening credits of bread. And they put the money into.
Oh, the chicken.
That's a big hen. It's a hen.
I know, but that's just what it reminded me of. All I'm saying.
It made a little chicken came out.
I'm sure.
Maybe that's where the connection in my head's come from. I don't know.
I'm sure it was a tagine.
You're right. It looked more.
Get up. Grab the world by the throat and shout. Gotta make it. Give us some air. Making babies out of nothing but air. And a magical tagine.
Yeah, imagine if they'd done that. It was in Liverpool. We just redone the whole thing from there and then.
Yeah, but they'd have probably found the baby on the doorstep somewhere.
Under a pool table.
Yeah.
Take Grandad his dinner.
Yeah.
Right, so that's Bloodborne. I don't think we're overly impressed with that. And I think we can use one of the classic lines of, I might watch it if it's on, but I'm not going to go out of my way. That's pretty much what I've got from that conversation. So we're now going to move on to Kamen Rider Saber plus Kikai, Sentai, Zenkaiger, Superhero Senkai. Feel free to correct me on all of that.
You've done pretty well there,
frankly, I don't care.
You don't care, but many do. As in Japan, it is the 50th anniversary now of Kamen Rider. There has been a new series every year for the last 50 years of this show, since 1971. And it's 45 years anniversary of Super Sentai, which is basically the Power Rangers when they do it in English. So, and again, new series every year for 45 years. They certainly know how to run a franchise in Japan. And this is, like, as the anniversary thing, they've got a big crossover movie where the current Kamen Rider Saber, teams up with the current Sentai team. Was it Kikai, Sentai, Zenkaiger? And it's a super crossover movie that Japan is wetting its pants about. And it will be coming out on July the 22nd. And it's featuring the cast from both shows. And as you could see from the action-packed trailer, what did you think?
I got about 10, 15 seconds into the trailer and stopped. It's a no from me. I have nothing more to add to the conversation. You carry on.
I'm really looking forward to this. I think this takes the best of both worlds, and I also kind of think it had a bit of, what they've done with some of the costumes, bring it almost like transformery. A lot of passion has gone into this, and excitement, and you could just kind of get the feel that it's got a longevity and a history to it. How can? No, seriously, what the? I literally put WTF. No, this is no for me.
I would say don't watch it if you're epileptic.
No, I mean, you kind of see some of the people dressed up in the spandex that you saw in Power Rangers 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I don't know. Maybe
that hasn't gone away. I think that's the thing.
No, I know, but that's what I mean. Maybe it's ingrained into. I mean, don't get me wrong. If like when we were kids, if Dungeons and Dragons was constantly repeated every year, and you just kind of watch it every year and year.
It's not repeated. It's a new. It's a new series every year.
If there's a new series of Dungeons and Dragons every year, then it becomes almost a soap opera. And maybe that's where it is in this culture. It's more of a soap opera or a series that they just get used to rewatching. But for us, it was it was the same with
senses.
No, but the same with Power Rangers. It was once every now and again. But for them, it's probably a more cyclical thing that they're used to. Oh, here's the next series now. But yeah, I'm just not on board. Yeah.
But it's more that I just it's just the fact that like Kamen Rider especially, it's been going since 1971 with a new series every year.
No, but
has there been a show?
It's been going since 1965. Doesn't mean I care.
No, but
I'm not saying you have to care. I'm just saying that have there been many shows that have done that?
No, but that's what I mean. I equate it almost to like a Doctor Who from our world. Although the best thing about this is my autocorrect changed it into Karen Rider.
That's a different film. That's a different film that came out recently.
Which is a whole different season.
I want to see the manager. I bet you do. Ding, ding, ding.
Do you want
Karen Rider?
Do you want to succeed?
Yeah, because you got this one. You got your Kamen Rider. You got your Super Sentai, which basically is the Power Rangers, and they have the Ultraman as well. And like they've just been churning these things out since this time with like a new one every year. And it's just, I know, it just amazes me that they can still do it, and it's still
but as I
makes
said,
money as well.
No, but
and they're like 52 episode series. It's literally, it's not like there's 10, 20 episodes. There's one a week for a whole year.
But again, it's a different culture, and even the manga's huge over there, and it's kind of got a lot of the manga is similar to some of the storylines and some of the characters as well that are in Kamen Rider. but as I said, if they're doing it every year, and if it's a repeatable series, then you can see why it's still popular. Similarly with Doctor Who, that's been going around since donkey's years. If there's another series of Doctor Who next year with whoever they're bloody bringing,
it's still what's her face at the moment?
No, but they're talking about the guy, the singer guy being the new Doctor Who, aren't they?
Yeah.
Singer
well,
guy.
we'll see.
Yeah, the
Mark Singer. That would be awesome.
No, it's a guy.
Doctor Who with a big bird on his hand.
Yeah.
No, it's some guy.
I know who you mean, but I can't think of his name.
Oh, the one that was in
something on Channel 4.
HIV drama. The other.
Yeah,
that one.
I've only seen him in that. I don't know. Does that warrant?
Is it Years and Years
being cast?
Is he sing from Years and Years?
He's just.
I didn't know. I know he is a singer, as in, but I didn't know that until after I'd watched.
I want to say he's a singer from Years.
What was
the
HIV drama called?
Not Years and Years. I can't remember. I just remembered Years and Years. I can't remember the series of. But it was a song It was a song name, wasn't it, from the 80s?
It's a sin.
It's
a
a sin.
sin.
That's it.
Pet Shop
Okay.
Boys.
Yeah, I only know
I
him
forgot
from
it
that,
until
but I do
you
know.
said
I
that. I
did
was
know
like, oh
he
yeah, I
used to
remember
sing
now.
it. Does that warrant being? I don't know. Is that what where the bar gets set now? Not nothing against him, but I don't think you've done enough, shown your acting chops enough. If you've been in one
I think he won
successful,
loads. I think
well
he won
acted,
loads
a
of
really
awards
good
for it.
drama.
Though.
No, I think it's they just want to do something completely different. They've done a woman
Fair
now. I think, unfortunately, they didn't go down a black Doctor Who because that would be too obvious, like doing a black
Well,
007.
they kind of have done that, haven't they already?
Yeah, because you got the future one that was in. Was it? Well, I don't remember now.
Well,
but
we don't know yet. That's
yeah,
the. I
it
think
kind of
that's still to
implied
be
that she was a
revealed.
future Doctor, didn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone completely off tangent. We were supposed to be talking about that really long title that I'm not going to repeat.
Karen
Kamen
Ryder.
Well,
Yeah.
we've done it. I mean, no, I'll probably won't watch the film because I don't want epilepsy. But it's because it is a bit like that. There's 100 things going on at once and bright colours and stuff. And
Yeah.
you
Suffice to say, it's going to be successful in its native market. We'll have a fan base across the world because people do like it, and it is popular. It's just not for me or any of us by the sounds of it.
I've tried to watch it, but you get headaches after a while, and then I start like shaking. And it's
Let's move on then to next up in the drop zone, which is Halloween Kills.
Halloween Kills. Okay. In 2018, Dave Gordon Green's Halloween, starring icon Jamie Lee Curtis, killed at the box office, earning more than $250 million worldwide, and became the highest grossing chapter in the four-decade franchise, setting a new record for the biggest opening weekend in the history for a horror movie starring a woman. I had to put that on the end. And the Halloween night when Michael Myers returned isn't over yet. Minutes after Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, her daughter Karen, Judy Greer, and granddaughter Allison, Andy Matichak, left the masked monster caged and burning in Laurie's basement, Laurie is rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, believing she finally killed her lifelong tormentor. But when Michael manages to free himself from Laurie's trap, his ritual bloodbath resumes. As Laurie fights her pain and prepares to defend herself against him, she inspires all of Haddonfield to rise up against their unstoppable monster. The Strode women join a group of other survivors of Michael's first rampage who decide to take matters into their own hands, forming a vigilante mob that sets out to hunt Michael down once and for all. Evil dies tonight.
Again.
That kind of sounds a bit like a Nightmare on Elm Street prequel, to be fair.
Yeah. Shite.
See, I wouldn't. Well, for me, it's just another Halloween film. I'll watch it. I'll probably enjoy it, but I'm not excited about it. I don't expect anything new from it. It's going to be Michael Myers killing people for 120 minutes.
But it didn't used to be. It became that. They've actually.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
I know. I'm just saying, but they've jump started it twice already, and then we'll forget that movie. They did H20 with Jamie Lee Curtis, and they killed that one off and said, "Oh, that didn't happen. Now we're going to do this one." No, that one didn't happen either. Now we want this one. You can't keep taking mulligans. You need to. You do it. The best one was the one they had 1 and 2. Yeah, 3 was a bit weird. That was the Season of the Witch one. I had nothing to do with it.
That's right.
Then the one. When the little girl sort of becomes the next Michael Myers when she kills her parents at the end and she stood at the top of the stairs in a clown outfit, that was genius because you could carry on the franchise.
What was the one out in space?
That was Jason, wasn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting confused. Yeah.
Well, it's easily done.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. But the Michael one, it ended up like it was his niece or whatever, or granddaughter. It was like she became like the new Michael Myers at the end. So just as they finally killed him, she'd become disturbed. Similar to what they did with Jason, when they finally killed Jason. And then in the next one, it was like the kid that had killed him had become sort of messed up himself. And he started wearing a hockey mask and killing someone. But then everyone backlashed against it. And then they went back and made Jason back again. And it was supernatural now. Like they kind of...
But I think that's my point that I was going to make when I wrote this down is that one of the taglines is he's just flesh and blood. It's like, if he's just flesh and blood, why have we been trying to kill him for the last 40 years and he just keeps coming back to life?
Just shoot
Well,
him.
the thing is, they have killed him a few times, but
No,
we
I know,
forget
I
that
know,
because
but
they've
that's
ignored
what I
those
mean.
movies now.
So get rid of the tagline, he's just flesh and blood, and just say he's a weird psycho supernatural freak that we can't kill. We might as well
It's
just
a
run.
bankable franchise.
we might as well just spend our lives running, you know. And I think it's a shame, you know, because the original ones, it was a killer that was just on the loose. It was a bit new at the time and a bit scary as well. But now it's just got so boring. You know, he's like, well, they're going to kill him. He's going to come back to life. They're going to kill him. He's going to come back to life. Where is the originality?
Yeah, no,
You know,
I don't disagree.
And the thing is, what annoys me as well is if it then doesn't do that well, they go, that one doesn't count. We're going to make another one. And it's like, well, you know, fuck off. Sorry, you've done it. You've made your story. No one liked it. Get over it. By all means, rewrite it and come back with something else.
I mean,
That's why I've always had so much respect for the Child's Play franchise written by Don Mancini, because Don Mancini is like, he's just carried it all on. Wherever it's ended up, he's picked up the thread. He's written all of the films, not including the remakey one that the studio did, and he's writing the TV series coming out now. But he's picked up his thread where he's gone like, he's never once gone like, actually, that one didn't happen. We've forgotten about that one. We're going to carry on from here instead. He's took it through. Where even Elm Street, for all its craziness, apart from obviously they did the remake, but all that followed through. Even though some of it didn't make sense, they just went with it and they didn't go, no, that didn't happen. We'll skip that one.
Yeah, you're
Well,
right.
one
They
thing
kept
I
the
noticed.
integrity of it.
One thing I noticed,
That's the
and
word.
to be fair to them, the last one was actually all right. I mean, you know, the last one that they made, because I watched that and that was all right, but you know, everyone thought that it ended. I'm not saying it was.
Yeah, well, that's why I kind of said it's just this one is just another Halloween film, because it is just a continuation of the last one. What, Brett, I think you're saying is even the last one was just pissing over.
Well, they made the big deal of when they did because Jamie Lee Curtis had already died in him, I think, twice.
Yeah.
And then they did H20.
So did Sigourney Weaver in Aliens.
Yeah, but that was a clone. This one just pretended that it never happened. And then they did the H2O one, which was the 20-year one, and they had Jamie Lee Curtis, and she even done that cool bit where she's driving her mum's car from Psycho and all that stuff. And I think Janet Leigh might even be in it for a scene. I think it was one that might have been the last thing she did. But then they've bitten that off now when that one doesn't exist anymore.
Right. On that note, that takes us on to our final film in the drop zone, Fear Street Part 1, 1994.
Yeah, we discussed it briefly last week, and we've now got a trailer for the first part. Fear Street is a three-part movie event coming to Netflix, and the trilogy begins in Shadyside, 1994, where a group of teenagers discover that the terrifying events that have haunted their town for generations may all be connected, and that they may be the next targets. And it's based on R.L. Stine's best-selling horror series, and it follows the nightmare through Shadeside's sinister history. So part 1 is 1994, which is the trailer we've got, and then the next parts are part 2, 1978, and part 3, 1666. So we've still got those to come yet. But what do we think of part 1?
Okay, I'll go. So, I mean, we, as you said, Brett, we did discuss this last week or maybe a couple of weeks back, and the trailer just kind of expands on what we've already seen. There's a lot of horror references in that trailer. I'm not going to list them because I did that the other week.
Yeah.
It looks good. I love the idea of a kind of 3-part event. I just think that sounds cool. It's probably going to be utterly disappointing, but there we go.
It's not.
No, it's not. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
What I'm hoping as well is... Oh, sorry. Carry on, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think, you know, it kind of it harks back to Scream to some extent. If you can
That's
imagine.
what I was going to say.
I mean, there's a lot of us. There's probably, obviously, hopefully, a lot of us remember when that comes out. It was 1996, so it's a long time
Yeah.
ago now. But you know, it was a game changer insofar as the slasher horror genre is concerned, and it looks a lot like that. And I hope it captures that kind of essence. It won't be as groundbreaking as that was, because it's already been done and we're in a post-Scream era. But
Well,
it has that look and feel to it. So
that's what I was going to say. Do you reckon they're going to do all three in the styles of those sorts of films? Do you think the 90s one's going to be Scream? Do you think the 78 one's going to be kind of Halloween, kind of dark?
See,
maybe
I
a
did
bit
get that
sexist?
from the original. So when we first covered the fact they were doing an event and they did those sort of snippets from each of the three. Yes, I think it does look a bit like that's what they're going to do.
Excellent.
Which, but yes and no, but they kind of almost, that kind of jars. If you put all three together and you do a kind of Scream version, and then you do a 70s slasher version, and then I don't know, say the Wicker Man for their early. I know Wicker Man isn't set in 16 something or another, but
that sort of vibe. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's that sort of vibe. That may jar a little, but I guess it depends of how it's executed, not necessarily what it looks like.
Yeah, it's all going to be totally different casts as well, isn't it? So I guess maybe like the kids in 78 might be the parents in 94, maybe, or something like that. But I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm still on board.
Yeah, me too. It didn't give us anything new that we hadn't already seen, but in the same token, the original teaser, or whatever you want to call it, for the three films in the event, maybe you want to watch it. So
yes, what do you think, Paul?
Yeah, so pretty much echo what Damien says. Love the look and feel of it. Production quality looks spot on. I'm really interested to see how they tie each of the three programs together. I think the point I made is I'm just gutted it's being released now as opposed to Halloween, but because the lack of decent stuff around Halloween to get excited about.
Yeah,
I just kind of think they missed a trick, but hey, that's only a minor thing. That's just me being purely, there's nothing around Halloween time. And I think it would have been absolutely, stonking to set a scene in regards to a Halloween or an October type release for this. But yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm genuinely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We haven't got long to find out.
Coming soon to Netflix.
Cool. Okay, I think that is the end of the drop zone. News desk.
The news.
News items.
So first up in news, we've got Ron Pearlman will voice Optimus Primal in Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
Yeah, that's right. Earlier this month, Hasbro Studios and Paramount Pictures announced the next Transformers movie will be called Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. And now they've confirmed that Ron Perlman has been cast as the voice of Optimus Primal, the leader of the big guys in the movie. It seems to be based on the Beast Wars cartoon, and it will be taking place in the 90s with Antonio Ramos and Dominique Fishback also in leading roles, with Steve Caple Jr. set to direct. I mean, going back to the Beast Wars cartoon, it featured Optimus Primal and his Maximals, and they were from the future of Cybertron and were the successors of the Autobots. However, the Maximals and their rivals, the Predacons, accidentally got trapped in Earth's past. That's why Primal's alternative form is a gorilla instead of the big convoy truck that we're used to Optimus Prime being in the normal Transformers. So as far as the films go, I think it's a bit of a mess of the continuity. But then I don't think they've ever cared about that.
Transformers movies, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is their new hope. The Bumblebee movie was great, especially the first sort of 15-20 minutes where it was on Cybertron, and this is due out June 2022, so this is like their next summer big blockbuster, I guess. And I don't know, I'm not. As much as I love Ron Perlman, I'm not optimistic.
Oh, good. I see what you did
Oh,
there.
nice. Yeah, see what you did
Yeah.
there. Like it.
Did you actually mean to do that? Because from looking in your
Of course
face,
he did. Look at him. He knows.
No, he didn't.
He knows.
He didn't, did he? He
I
didn't.
didn't. I
He
didn't.
didn't.
I did. My brain
Oh,
does
come on,
these
bro.
things
I was
automatically.
trying to. I was trying to big you up there.
I know.
I know.
At least
I do
at
it
least he's honest.
subconsciously.
At least he's
I
honest.
do it
yeah.
subconsciously. The one earlier on as
It's
well
just so
was
natural.
totally. I just my brain does it. I think it's my gift and my curse. Sometimes I do it with things I shouldn't say.
See,
More often than not.
so
Yeah.
I'm okay. So I guess from my perspective, what's the news item? Is it Ron Perlman doing the voice? Because
Yeah.
that's
So
one
let's be
thing.
honest. No. So for clarification purposes, Ron Perlman is a legend.
Yep.
He's a hero of cult as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
He could have done nothing in his entire career and then been in Sons of Anarchy and done nothing since.
Well,
He would still be a legend as far as I'm concerned.
And Hellboy.
So that's the news
a
item.
Hellboy. Yeah.
And Vincent.
That's what I'm saying. He could
No,
have
no.
done,
I'm
but
agreeing
he's
with
done
you.
so much more.
And for him doing
Catherine.
yeah.
Although
and for
Hand
him,
of God is a little bit ropey. I've seen a few of those. It's not that great, but it's still watchable. But I don't think he ever got renewed, so it's kind of been and gone. So not.
Is that
not
where he plays
worth-
Is that where he plays Maradona?
that's right.
No.
So from a news perspective, I don't have an issue necessarily with Ron Perlman doing Optimus Prime's voice in a different setting. It's not.
I'm sure he's glad he's got your blessing.
No, but I mean, Optimus Prime's voice is iconic to me. But if they're setting it in a different scene, I can kind of get that. I don't know why they're going with Ron Perlman necessarily for this new film. I think my most concern is why are they doing this film?
Well, Beast Wars. No
exactly.
one remembers Beast Wars. This is the equivalent of the He-Man when he went into space or whatever it was. This is a reimagining where they were all wasn't in the normal continuity. This was their own thing.
Beast Wars when they couldn't think of when they couldn't think of anything else to do with the characters that they had, so they tried to be a bit different and do almost like a multiverse type thing. And
they brought a new set of die cuts
toys out
from Japan
exactly.
and had to make a cartoon to go with it.
And I just kind of think, from as you mentioned, Brett, from the start of Bumblebee, why aren't they just doing a proper Transformers movie on Cybertron? Something like that. Give everyone what they want with the original. Well, I say original, but that kind of look and feel characters on Cybertron. Just forget the crap films that they've done in the past, and just try and do a decent film that we always wanted from the get-go. No one wanted Optimus Prime and all of the Autobots bumbling around someone's garden, knocking over a fountain, trying to shoot a dog because it's weeing on them, and all the stupidness that took over that film and the subsequent films. Just give us a bloody Transformers film that we've wanted for the last 40 years. And they could have done that. And as you said, from the start of Bumblebee, there was inklings of is this going to happen in the next film? And
no, it's not now.
No,
yeah,
we're getting Beast Wars.
But what wouldn't surprise me as well is if they do Bumblebee 2 as well, so it just messes it up even more.
Yeah. But Bumblebee already messed up with the whole thing of that, from the Transformers films when he's around in the 40s and fighting World War II, and then he's back, and it's just so confused as a genre and so confused as a film franchise. That I think everyone, if they were doing a new film, would have just loved. Well, everyone, I say me, would just love to them just binned off the films that have gone before, start fresh, and just done it properly. But it doesn't look like they've done that.
On that note, my notes that I wrote when this came through, to kind of just probably round up this whole conversation, I've written, I'd rather be sick in a bag and snack on it for the rest of the week than watch another Transformers movie. Ron Perlman being cast doesn't change that, especially when you consider it's not even really, as you've just said, going into the proper Transformers. This is, what do you say it was? This is the stuff that came out in the 90s.
I think
Yeah.
Beast Wars was the 90s. I think it was when they reimagined it for a new generation.
Yeah, so
Didn't
by which
last long
point,
though.
yeah, exactly, it had already died. So
From memory, it was the one. It was like crappy computer graphics, wasn't it, and all that? Was that the one?
there we go. That's a news item that we spent far too long talking about when we really shouldn't have done. That takes us on to Laurie Holden will play Crimson Countess in The Boys season 3.
As I say, Laurie Holden, known probably most recently for The Walking Dead. I mean, she's also in The X-Files, Under Shield, and loads of shows through the years, actually, that you didn't even realise were her when I looked up what else she'd been in. Is playing the Crimson Countess, who is one of the Voight superheroes who was in the comics. She's got like fire, basically she's Firestar. She's got heat and fire manipulation, and she's in the running to join the Seven, but she doesn't get it in the comics.
Okay, so there we go. That's Laurie Holden.
But they're building out quite a car.
Do we know when season 3 is coming out? Has that been released yet? Because they've done a couple of teasers on YouTube about when, I know they did when Jensen Ackles joined the cast.
Yeah,
they did a couple of teasers.
I want to say February. But I don't know if it's been
changed. If you
changed
want to say
because of
February,
COVID.
Brett, then you say February. That's fine by me.
February. But I don't know if it's been changed because of, I don't know if COVID has affected it or anything. Because obviously, at the moment,
it's currently filming. They're not ruling out a late 2021 premiere, but it's likely to be 2022.
There we go.
There we go then. February. Yeah.
Okay, so next up in the news, we've got Slave One in the Star Wars universe has been renamed. Brett, give us a lowdown on this.
They brought out, following on from season 2 of The Mandalorian, so spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. It's been out a while though. They brought out a new Lego set featuring The Mandalorian and the former Slave One and another character who appears in The Mandalorian, who may have something to do with Slave One. Am I allowed to do spoilers, or does it not matter?
Doesn't matter to me.
Well, I think we all know Slave One, don't we? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's Boba Fett. So you get like this Lego set now with Slave One, with Boba Fett and the Mandalorian in little Lego figures and all that. But in this new set, apparently it's set a new precedent now because it's renamed Slave One and it's now known as Boba Fett's Starship. And apparently they're saying they're trying to drop Slave One now. The Lego Star Wars designer has said that they've been told that they have to drop Slave One, and it's probably not something which has been announced publicly, but it's just something that Disney doesn't want to use anymore. There's also Disney have also dropped the Slave Leia tag from the costume and action figure now from Return of the Jedi. So she wasn't a slave girl anymore. She was just in, raunchy Leia. I don't know what they're going to call that.
Raunchy Halloween gear.
Yeah. But Slave One and basically the slave word is disappearing from anything to do with Star Wars now because Disney no like it.
Or public culture.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so, culture's moved on.
I think we can guarantee then that Up Pompeii will never be on Disney Plus.
Or Gladiator.
Yeah. And next week we're going to review that film, 12 Years.
It's just political correctness gone mad.
It's a bit silly, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean all joking apart, I do hate that phrase, political correctness gone mad. That's because sometimes it's overused, and it normally is said by gammons who've got no idea what they're talking about. But to remove a word, a perfectly acceptable word that is used in all manner of contexts, not just what the reason they've removed it is used in, is just ridiculous.
And forget the Star Wars universe. but to try and remove it almost from culture is just nonsensical, because that's almost doing more harm.
Paul, you and I work in IT, and you it's a technical term for servers and things. You have
slave
like,
drives.
Slave drives, and the main server. Then you have the slave server. It's just what it is. It's a word, and it means something.
But I think it's doing more harm than good, because it's almost saying, well, you can't have slaves. It's like, well, no,
you
can.
in real life.
But she was a slave. Princess Leia was a slave, wasn't she? She was being held against her will. That's the whole point. And
yeah, exactly. So recognize that it happens, recognize that it's bad, and then deal with it. But to try and rewrite history, and also worse than that, rewrite science fiction, it's just ludicrous.
But the thing is, as well, is like, you can call it Slave One. Boba Fett's not a nice person. He's technically a bad guy. He's a bounty hunter. Okay, at this point, we see him like a bit more after Return Jedi, and maybe he's got a bit more political and changed his ways a little bit. But he's not a nice person. That's why his ship's called Slave One. If he was the hero and he was driving a ship called the Slave, then I kind of get that, maybe. But he's a bad person.
So this is, Disney trying to preempt any flack that may be coming their way or may not be coming their way, isn't it?
Totally.
For no rhyme or reason.
I'm surprised this hasn't caught on yet, because this is the sort of thing that will like burn down Twitter for a few days, isn't it? It's just like as the chowder heads of the universe gather on Disney.
All those toxic chowder heads. I might agree with the toxic chowder head for a change. That'd be a first.
There you go.
But yeah, there we go. So Slave One has been renamed. What's it been renamed to?
Boba Fett Starship. They didn't even give it like a cool name. They just given it like, oh yeah, it's his ship. They didn't call it like Bubba One or something. It's Bubba. Boba Fett Starship. It almost reeks of, they were literally just going to print, and then someone saw it and went, "You can't have slave on it." And we're like, "Well, shit, what are we going to call it then?" It's like, Boba Fett Spaceship. Yeah, that'd do. The pub opens at 5.
Yeah,
Boba Fett Starship. It's now called.
I was about to say that ends the news, but it doesn't. I've got a few things to add on to the news. I've got no cancellations, I'm afraid. Well, I'm not afraid. That's good news, I guess.
That's a good thing, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd be quite pleased if they cancelled Emmerdale or something, to be fair, but that's a different kettle of fish. In other news, Supernatural prequel is in the works. It's being produced by Jensen Ackles himself. Who knows? I think it's going to be a prequel based around the life of the parents of the two main stars of Supernatural, whose names I forget. I didn't bother writing this stuff down. I've literally just taken the headline.
Was that the dude? Wasn't that Jeffrey Dean Morgan one? He played one.
Yeah, he was in the first season or a couple of seasons, but then more cameos, I guess, as he became famous for being in Walking Dead. He did originally play the two main leads' dad. We'll see what happens with that. I can't imagine it being any good, but there we go. It's being made. The BBC have now acquired the UK rights for The Watch, and it will premiere on iPlayer and BBC Two in July.
What one was The Watch?
So The Watch is it's a Terry Pratchett reimagining of the Discworld universe. I haven't watched it, but I've read a few things about it. They've kind of changed a lot of characters. It's, for want of a better word, woke in the way that they've reimagined some of the characters. This is what I've read, so I haven't watched it, so I don't know. I'm still going to watch it because it's based on Terry Pratchett, so I'm going to give it a chance, but I am not holding out much hope. So we shall see. That comes in July.
Okay.
Solar Opposites has been renewed for season 4.
Woo!
On Star over here and Hulu over in the States.
Right, so you got to start watching now then. Well, get watching it.
You know my opinion on adult orientated cartoons.
And I told you, give it 2 episodes. Give it 2 episodes
No,
and
I
then tell me.
refuse.
I gave
I'm
it 2
done.
episodes.
Have you got to the wall yet?
Yeah,
You don't like the wall?
I don't mind the war. I just don't. I'm not
Oh, you haven't
drawn
got
back
into
to
the
watch.
wall yet. You've seen the wall. You haven't got to the wall yet. You've seen it introduced. Now you need it when, because it ends up like you end up watching 2 programs at once.
No, I kind of get it. I kind of get there's 2 different, storylines going on. What's happening in the war, what's going on outside. It's just one of those programs. As Damien said, I've kind of seen a lot of it all before. I'm not drawn back to watch it.
Like, you're just too old now, man.
Probably.
You're too old for this shit.
Yep, and I'm happy with that. I'm too old for adult-orientated cartoons that are written by 10, 15 people in a writing room trying to get as many gags in as they possibly can. For the fun of it. And my final point in news: Good Omens is getting a sequel.
What?
Exactly. So Good Omens, starring David Tennant and your nemesis Paul, which aired last year or the year before, based on the one singular book written by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett, which was completely covered in the season. No more of it. It was done. It was dusted. That was the entire story. Has got a sequel. So there you go. I can only hope.
And who's helping to write this?
Well, exactly. Obviously, Terry Pratchett isn't.
Yeah.
So I can only hope that Neil Gaiman has some form of involvement in this. Otherwise, it's pointless. But yeah, how they're then going to eke it out for a second series, I don't quite understand.
No.
Whether it's going to be
Because it completely ended. Exactly.
Exactly. So I'm guessing it's going to take 2 characters and
trying to think of something else for them to do.
Yeah. Because obviously, those 2 are good together.
Yeah.
They have good chemistry. They act well together.
But they've done other stuff, haven't they? They did the
exactly.
thing on
They
BBC.
did the lockdown thing. Yeah, which was really, really funny.
He's taken another role off me. Yeah. There we go.
But yeah, so that's it. That's the news. Unless anyone else has any other business.
The only thing I was going to say is the new trailer for Foundation and a release date for Foundation on Apple TV was dropped.
When's the release date?
We are looking at September. September the 24th for Foundation on Apple TV Plus.
Cool. There we go then. That draws a conclusion to episode 19 of the Cult Faction podcast, Dungeons, Death, and Disneyfication. Thank you for listening. It is goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me.
And a farewell from me.
Thank you very much. Don't forget, you can rate and review us on your favourite podcast app. In the meantime, good night. Wriggling my ass off. Get the shizzling.
Hello, my friends.
No
Jingle.
expense spared. News jingle.
It's kind of
Let it go. Let it go.